Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review on Chesil Beach, starring Saoirse Ronan and Billy Howell. And I saw the trailers for this, and I obviously got excited because I love Saoirse Ronan, and I'm like, I'm going to see this movie. And it seemed intriguing, and I was hoping that it wasn't just like a generic period piece, which this film takes what you would expect most from a period piece love story, but then goes some places with it. And I really appreciated this film quite a bit. And Dominic Cooke, who's the director, really has a great handle on this film and is really able to convey really strong, complex emotions throughout this film, through his actors, through how he tells the story. And this film takes on some things I did not expect, and especially from a period piece like this. And I really enjoy the fact that this starts off, it's like, okay, it's like they seem like posh, like a little awkward young British couple gets married, and then you do the flashbacks between like building up their relationship as they're enjoying their wedding night with their really awkward dinner, and everything leading up to them consummating their marriage. And this film takes a direction I was not expecting, and along with what Dominic Cooke does, Sean Bobbitt, who's a cinematographer for this, I was super impressed by the cinematography in this. I was not expecting how much effort they put into the shots, the camera work. There's some beautiful shots on all the way up to the final shot of this film. Like the way they convey the emotional distance between characters using the camera in this is so perfect. And even the editing, there's a couple of choices there's one particular choice with the editing that I thought was a little awkward, and then it fit into the story and it came back and it made so much sense. And looking in hindsight, that decision with the putting the shots together really conveyed something. And this film is fantastic. Ian McEwan, who I believe wrote the novel and then wrote the screenplay for this, which is a very interesting way of structuring the story and how this story is going to be portrayed to the audience, because it's over the course of, for the most part, one evening, except you have interlays of flashbacks building up their relationship and building to the climax of this film, and really fleshing out and giving more perspective. Because at first you just think they're a little bit goofy, awkward couple, but as these pieces of information fall through, you start to realize there's something much more going on here. And Saoirse Ronan really owns it in this film, and she is, for the most part, very reserved and powerful, and she really conveys her emotions, and she has to handle some very intense scenes. And Billy Howell I was really impressed with as well, who really takes some charge in this film, and he balances some character choices, like got the bit of a lisp going on, and just how he has all of his body language, and you get a lot about what kind of man he is and the fear that he can show, this underlying thing of worrying about things not working out. And Dan Jones makes a very, very effective score for this film that really elevates things, and it has some very powerful scenes, including the one in particular on the beach, and it is really powerful. And there are the unfortunate thing with this film is it takes a little bit to get into gear, and in hindsight I feel like the beginning part makes a lot more sense, but when you're going through it for the first time, it feels a little dry, feels a little slow, and it takes a bit for you to actually get really invested into it. And by the end, you do get really invested into it, except there are some scenes that felt really hokey and melodramatic that took me out of the film, including up to the very end. I wasn't the hugest fan of exactly some of the ending. Like the very last, like frames and shots of this film, I really appreciate it. But leading up to that, it just felt, why is this really necessary kind of thing. And I felt like there was a much better ending that they had, but you really don't get that. And that, it gets a little awkward and it loses some points with that. But on Chesil Beach, I really highly recommend. I don't think this is going to be for everybody, but if you're a real fan of film, I think this is a really very good film to go check out if you can find it near you. And I'm going to give On Chesil Beach a B+.